Ngai Mob, welcome to another episode of Warrior Heart Yarns with Anishan. And damn, do I have a yarn for you today. It's reflecting on the lessons I've learnt for meeting the moment for what it is, but also how challenging it can be to be in your truth and to be accountable for who you are, what you do, and what you bring to the moment. So I've just come off of, it's been a week since our Keelalana gathering started last week. And I can tell you the whole experience was so deep and so many intersections and layers in terms of learnings, responsibility, accountability, that I really had no other choice but to meet the moment for what it was, as it was, because the intentions and the expectations that I had for this gathering certainly didn't match up to the actions and the choices I made leading up to that. And being accountable and sitting with the truth of where I let things down, where I could have done better, and being accountable to that experience and that energy that I brought into this gathering, both in the preparation phases, in the execution and the delivery of this gathering, and also post the gathering, but not so much in that. And meeting the moment for, or it is what it is as it is, was definitely something that helped me navigate those challenging moments where there was conflict or there was confusion. So just to provide some context, the Keelalana Foundation had its first 4-day gathering for young Aboriginal women up in the Mallee region of Victoria. And we had 42 registrations for young women from the ages of 11 to 19, where it was our oldest registered participant. We had young women coming from 100 kilometres away, from Melbourne, and we had facilitators that were from New South Wales, Queensland, and Victoria. And I had not sat down to unpack what that would mean in bringing those different age groups together, those different roles together, and the role that I played in holding space for all of that and being the leader of that space. I'm really great at being Anishan and being a facilitator and a storyteller and going into spaces that are already established, that are already being held by other people. I'm bringing in my one strand to add value to something that's already been created. Whereas the Keelalana gathering, I was creating that, I was gathering that, and I wasn't prepared to meet the moment for what it was. My expectations were so much grander around, and I guess, and unrealistic around the role that I would have to play, the intensity of that role, and what that would mean for other people. And with the whole warrior heart philosophy, it's stand in your power, be your truth, and follow your heart. Now, be your truth is really challenging for me in this moment, about acknowledging who I am, what I have to bring to the moments, and the vision that I have, but also being able to communicate that to the different roles that I hold, and how I want to start to shift those roles to really come from my strengths and gifts, and then be able to delegate or let go of the parts of those roles that I don't feel like I can do, that I don't want to do, and that I'm not capable of doing and bringing the best to those roles that they can do, so that they can really serve their greatest potential. So with the Keelalana Foundation, I'm currently the founder, the managing director, the CEO, as you are when it comes to a startup foundation. And we're in the middle of, we've just delivered our 4-day gathering. We've got the keys to our first commercial property, so our first proper lease on our own space, and we've got to set that up. I'm supporting our Nikita, our program coordinator, to set her role up and what that means, and then managing our 2 junior positions as well. And I don't enjoy being the CEO in this way. What I love and the role that I really feel would best serve Kilalana from me in this season is to be Auntie Shan in the room when we're doing the Titters program, to be able to share my wisdom, my energy, hold space for the girls, and to be out telling Kilalana's story, to be able to bring resources and influence into what we're doing in this space, versus and being a visionary, the chief warrior heart of what we can be, and being a driving energy and influencing the direction of Kilalana and our day-to-day delivery, versus the chief executive officer whose role is to build an organization, is to manage staff and support staff and bring together stakeholders and all that. It's not a strength of mine. It's not something that I actually want to do. So now I'm sitting with that and going, right, what does that truth look like? How do I communicate that? And then how do I meet the moment for what it is as it is? I am the CEO. I am the founder. I am the managing director, and I'm there to lead and support my staff in this moment. And then we want to get to the point where we have an acting CEO in that role, and then I move into the chief warrior heart. But being able to sit in this moment and bridge the gap and understand the steps it's going to take to get from where I am now to the point where I want to be, which is where Kilalana has a CEO. I'm the chief warrior heart, where when we have program, I'm Auntie Shan, I'm in the room, I'm a part of those yarns, those gatherings, but I'm not solely responsible for them. And I can also be out telling Kilalana's story, being an ambassador, being a role model for Kilalana, so that we can bring in the resources that we need to do the work that we're doing in a sustainable and thriving way. And being there for our girls and our community, but being a part of a collective who is holding that space and influencing that space. And this idea of accepting accountability for the roles that I'm playing and how I'm showing up, but also sitting with my truth and going, this is what I feel is calling me. I haven't been able to do jiu-jitsu or train consistently for 2 months, and it's really affecting me because I love jiu-jitsu. I really want to be preparing to compete and building on my skill sets and things like that. But the reality of the experiences that I have at the moment is that that's just not available to me in this moment. Because I'm traveling a lot, we're getting Kilalana to the next stage of its growth, which is setting up our space, getting our DGR status, setting up all the back end stuff of our policies and procedures, our website, all of that sort of stuff, all these moving parts. And at the same time, being mum to my children, to my family, ensuring that Shantelle Thompson, my speaking business and stuff, my profile and brand is getting out there. So jiu-jitsu is more of a playtime thing, a therapy thing at the moment. And by sitting with that truth of going, this is the hunger that I have, is to be able to train jiu-jitsu and be getting ready to compete again on a national and an international stage, is something that I wake up thinking about every day. It's something that calls me. So meeting the moment for what it is as it is serving me to go, well, this is your reality now. That's the reality that you want. So how can you use this moment to plant seeds and to take actions that will influence the possibility of that becoming a reality sooner rather than later? And being more intentional with the choices that I'm making and setting intentions for each day that serve that bigger purpose. And I can tell you that excuse me, I had to stop and blow my nose because I'm still recovering from a head cold. So this whole idea of the warrior heart is not something, and these principles of these practices of standing your power, be your truth, and follow your heart is not something that I've perfected. It's literally a practice and a philosophy that I'm living by, and I'm learning how to be in that space. I'm learning how to be accountable, to sit with my own truth, but also to be able to share my truth. And that even came in a family situation where I got a call from one of my family members and said, hey, I've heard that you've been saying this. And it also happened in another situation where someone else had been told some information that I'd shared, some really horrible things. And both of those outside things coming back to me and going, these are the things you've said. Have you said this? This is the impact it's had. This is the drama that it's caused. And rather than initially, I did get wrapped up in the drama. Initially, my emotions took over, and I became in the family situation, or both family situations, really. The family situation was more around going, yes, I've participated in gossip. Yes, I've said things that might have led to that Chinese whisper and that next version of what I've said. So I'm going to apologize. I'm going to take responsibility. And then when I get home, I'll come and sit with that person and address what that actually means and take it from there. This other situation that also happened last week and this week around someone from the community coming in and saying that I've said these horrible things that then really affected some other relationships that I have in a very serious way, made me sit there and go, well, hold on, I didn't actually say those things. This is how it's affected me. And now sitting with the fact that how that's affected that relationship, but that relationship is intertwined with other roles that I hold. And it's fucking hard. It's really fucking hard part of me just wants to curl up and procrastinate and hide and avoid the whole, both situations. The hurt part of me really wants to go, well, I don't want to play in that space. Ego Shantelle is really like, well, fuck this shit. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I didn't say that, so I shouldn't have to deal with it. And then higher self Shantelle, Arnie Shan, sitting there going, this is who you're becoming. These are your moments to step in and be intentional with how you're showing up, how you're responding, and being able to practice standing in your power, being your truth and following your heart. And part of my heart calling in this moment is to learn how to be vulnerable and hold space, and to take accountability personally for what I'm bringing to the spaces and the actions and choices that I'm making, but also to be intentional about how I'm responding to the moment and what I'm making it mean, and also what that means for other people involved. So my yarn with you today is truth telling. Being in your power and following your heart can be really fucking hard. But that's why my warrior spirit wraps around it and goes, this is who you're being called to be. These are your moments to step into that practice, to learn, to be intentional, to show up. And it is what it is, meeting the moment for what it is going to be such an important practice in being able to have compassion, accountability, and love for myself and those moments as I slowly start to shed old ways of being and doing, as I healed old trauma and current trauma that's coming up, that's wanting to keep me safe, or that's avoiding or being fearful of these next steps, but also being okay with whatever it means and ripples out to be, whether that be letting go of old relationships, redefining relationships, looking at what those boundaries are, and just sitting with the fact that this is the work that I'm feeling called to do, because this work is going to allow me to show up and alchemize the wisdom and the knowledge and the experiences that I've had, to actualize the potential I have for the stories, the wisdom, the experiences that I can bring to the spaces that I'm invited into and that I want to be in more of. And also to amplify the impact and the effort of those moments, to have ripple effects beyond that moment, so that it can serve other people, bigger purposes, and plant seeds for the future, and to benefit others beyond that moment. So I look forward to checking in with you, Mob, next week around lessons that I've learnt in and things that have kind of come up, because I think there's a one thing about making it about other people and making it about the situation, and then there's a real opportunity to have the courage to sit with yourself and go, well, what does this mean for me? How have I shown up in this space? What have I contributed to this space? What have been my intentions? And what can I learn and grow from this in order to keep moving forward towards that warrior heart practice of bringing more of my truth, of being more in my power, and having the courage to slowly follow my heart, follow that spark of light, follow that ancestral calling that I have. And I just want to share that with the deepest love and respect and gratitude for you sitting with this moment and these learnings, and would love any insights or anything that came up for you to share that with me, or to share this episode with someone that you believe would benefit or would connect to anything I've shared in this moment. And I'm really grateful to be on this journey with you and growing my experience in being an intuitive podcaster, sharing insights and things that have come up that I feel would be of value to the world. Big love you, Mob.